glad you're here today. I'm going to tell you right away, I'm not an expert on the ePortfolio, but I have been doing a lot of research on it and playing around with it. I do think it's going to be a wonderful tool for us to use this year and possibly in future years to help us kind of keep track of that personalized learning aspect that we're trying to move towards. So some of you have been in that meeting and started talking about that personalized learning that we're going to be doing in the next few years. And so you kind of seen some of the information I'm going to show you. But the thing I like about the ePortfolio is it can follow the kids. So wherever it starts, if they start in 3rd or 4th grade or even kindergarten with some very simplified things like small personalized inventories, we can take that information and keep adding to it every year so that by the time they get to the high school, you have a plethora of information. That's my favorite word, a plethora of information at your fingertips that your kids also have. And that's the key here. Like I have always done these inventories of personalized learning or how they learn best, multiple intelligences, and what is your personality type. I've done them every year. They've graphed them out and we've put them in their planner and they never look at them again. And no matter what I say, hey guys, here's this project and here, I want you to pick a project that really fits your learning style. The kids will go, yeah, but which one's easiest? So they're not still honing into those inventories and what they really mean for themselves as a learner. So I think putting all this stuff maybe in their hands a little bit closer where we can even refer back to it to say, hey, you decided to maybe read today because your best friend was over here and you wanted to be with them, but you weren't able to answer the questions because you really didn't understand the information. So what maybe would be a better choice for you? Based on the information in front of us right here, we can see that you should have been over here or whatever. They also would have things in their ePortfolio that you could use at parent-teacher conferences. They can bring in examples of work from Canvas, from their computers, all kinds of things. And the ePortfolio can be used not only for that, but also for a place for them to just keep some of their files. And again, that goes with them every year, and I love that feature. The only bad part right now that I've found is that it does not work on the app. So when the kids are on the iPad, they would have to go to their browser in order to get to their ePortfolio, which I'm kind of thinking I might use the ePortfolio as a place for them to house their notes for science because I let them use those on their tests. And that would still work out because they would be able to pull up the browser on one side of their screen and their test on the app and still be able to use both. So it's still accessible. It's just not right there in their hands, which I would really like with that app. So Lisa, Julian, and I are kind of working together with kind of training everybody. And she's gonna send a note to Canvas to say, hey, can you add this in maybe the next update? So I'm hoping we might see that come later on because they'll start realizing how important it is to people that we have that aspect in there and want to use it more. And so let's keep our fingers crossed that that would come. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now with you. And the first part of this class today is all about the ePortfolio. And you are welcome at any times to slow me down and ask specific questions. But I'm really just going to be showing you around. And then I thought the second part of the class, if you guys want to play around making your own and ask questions, more specific questions for you, as well as any questions about Canvas, I am welcome to answer those as well. So first of all, how do you get to the ePortfolio? So again, I told you you can't get to it from the app, but over here in Accounts, when you click on this, apparently we're gonna buffer because why not? It's Monday. When you click on this, it doesn't do that. It would show you ePortfolio. I'm going to refresh. Oh, I gotta log in, apologize. There we go. There we go. So when you go to account, there's your ePortfolio. Everybody has one, and that's what I really like is it gave me a chance to make my own ePortfolio that I could show my students. You can set up as many as you'd like. So all you have to do is go to this button right here where it says Create ePortfolio. When you click on that, you are given the option to name your portfolio and make it public. Now, I have found with my research, because I wasn't sure about this making it public, because a lot of this information, the kids could even put in information about their IEP and some of their own work, and I don't necessarily think they're going to want to make that public to the world, and that's what it does mean. If you make something public, it's out there on the web for people to view. However, there is a way to share this with teachers and parents as a link so that they can actually send you a link to their portfolio if you would like to look at it specifically without having it be public. So I for sure would not mark it public at the beginning because of that reason, so that it's more their stuff. So I have my portfolio and my learning profile going here, but I'm going to go ahead and click on this because once you hit make, then it starts your portfolio. So everything over here is kind of like your file folder. So this is like having a drawer of files. And right now, all you guys will have is the home button because I've added sections. So these are called sections. And you can organize these sections. You can move them around. You can say, oh, I want one to be above the other or whatever. By clicking on that edit button, you're able to move them. You can delete them, rename them by clicking on the sprocket. Same thing with the little down arrow. You can add more. And then again, making it public is your only update to the portfolio. And like I said, I would keep that the same. And if you were on that learning profile or personalized learning committee thing that we did, these were the sections that we talked about that needed to be in our students' portfolios. And so what I did was basically just made a section for each. And I assumed that would be a good way for our kids to start, is just kind of making these. It is not something we can push out to them, which I was hoping. I was hoping we could just push out these sections to them and they wouldn't have to type them in. But they're going to have to add that themselves. Over here is how you organize those sections and how you put pages in them. But so right here, getting to the actual portfolio, that's how you click into the portfolio. Getting started will take you through like some basic information. So if you want to go through that, it will give you some of the things that I'm showing you right now. You can delete it and you can download it. I can't imagine why they would want to download it, but you never know, like if they want to maybe take it with them after they graduate or something, maybe they would want that, but you don't necessarily have to do that. So the home, I'm going to take you to home first. If I go to home, oops, I got to turn off editing. So when you're done editing, you hit done. It takes you back to these sections. I'm going to go to my home section. And this is just your welcome page. So everybody already has that kind of in already, but you can edit that page and put information on. I just quickly did some things just to make sure you understood. To edit this page itself, you go to edit this page and it brings up that rich text content box where you can put things in, add pictures, add videos, add content, whatever, and you can allow comments. So if you want your students or people to be able to comment on that page, like if you're having your kids do a portfolio for a history project, you could allow comments. They could share it with a partner, and then the partner could comment on those pages. So your kids could share something back with you, and if they allow comments, then you can comment back on their pages. So that might be something that you want to do eventually. You also have a lot of information here that you can add. By clicking any one of these, it will bring up another block for you to add information. It turns into pages. So I can bring in an embedded content, which I love. I'll show you one I did earlier. This is the coolest thing. You can go make something on Office 365 and get the embed code, and it will take that document and put it right there on the screen for you. Not as a link, but an actual document. It is the coolest thing. And you could do that with portfolios, PowerPoint, sorry. You do that for PowerPoints, you can do that with videos. If you have that embed code, you can do it. And I tried it to make sure it works. The only thing, you can't use the Office 365 app on your computers. You have to go to Office 365 online to get the embed code, but I'll show you where that's at later.
Stacy, I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Deborah. Well,
Hi.
with what you just said,
Yes.
I'm thinking of long term. If items were pasted into this rich text content box over a period of time, those documents would, that window would grow. Wouldn't it be best just to plant links so that over a period of time you wouldn't have to scroll through so much up and down?
So what it does, let me get to that section for you where I added that. Oh, so it basically makes little, each one of those becomes a section under your pages. So it won't really, you can click on it right here. So the only way it would grow is if you put it on that actual page. I put it in as its own link. So here's my other information. And so I just practiced putting it in as a download code like this. But here's the one I actually put in. So if you just wanted it to be the only thing on that section, you would just put it in and you would have like another, page under that section. So each one goes in as a tab.
So I'm thinking long term, as this ePortfolio would grow, we would probably want some conventional labeling or conventional coding.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's kind of what I did, and I'll show you that here. I'm going to go back here real quick and just show you what else you have available. Then I'll show you what I was thinking. So you also can bring in submissions. So if you click this button, it'll bring in, you can bring anything from your course. So if you created something in your course and you want to bring it in, or if it's kids wanted to show a project, like for me, they do pretty massive projects every quarter. If they wanted to bring in the rubric from that to share with their parents, or just to kind of give themselves a goal, here's how I did first quarter, and then keep working towards that, they could bring that in. If later you're, at the end of the year, maybe they go back and they realize they have so much information in there, they don't need it all. Maybe they just need some kind of work from the first quarter and then some from the end of the quarter to just show how they've improved over that course of the year. So again, the kids can like bring in things, but if they decide they don't want it on there anymore, you can delete it. So as this grows, like you talked about, Deborah, the kids could kind of go through and say, okay, here's something I put in from 3rd grade that really doesn't mean much anymore. Now I can take it out of there. So you can delete it at any time. You can bring in images and you can bring in files, and all of that just literally goes in as a new section. So if I decide, oh, I really didn't want that, all you have to do is click on this top corner and it makes it go away. And you can preview at any time. So that's the nice thing too, is once you're finished, you can kind of look at, oh, this is what it's gonna look like. Am I happy with that or not? So again, I love previewing because that, somebody was calling me, sorry. That gives me a chance to kind of look at what it's going to actually look like. I'm just such a cute little emoji, aren't I? It's so cute. Okay. Sorry, I have somebody coming in. Okay. So in each one of these sections, I kind of put a little picture of what we were thinking would be in those sections. So I think this is information we could push out through our courses. That was weird. My phone was actually talking to me, sorry. In each section, I kind of put what would be there. And then I just filled this information out here below of kind of what the general information was. But again, if we wanted to, we could make each one of those a different section. Like for instance, if they're on an IEP, they may not want that information right there on that first page. So they could put it under other information and bring that in. And they could even bring in a screenshot. But I think I love the fact that we would put that in the kids' hands so they know what modifications they should be getting as well. Because like last year, we had what, like 20 some kids in our classes that were on some kind of an IEP, and trying to keep it straight on who was supposed to get, you know, pulled out for a class, or who was supposed to get extra help, or who, it was really confusing. But having the kids be more involved with that so they could say, oh yeah, Mrs. Harris, I need to, you know, go, I mean, not make a loud sound, but you know what I mean? Just making sure that they are being more accountable for their own learning. So in each one of these, I just went in and threw in that picture of what should be there. And again, we can just type that in, but I just kind of liked those boxes. And so I just screenshotted it and threw it in. So I kind of remembered what was going to go in each section. So when you go to a section like this one, and I have two things on here, you can also organize. This is where you can add another page. So you can add another page here. So every time you want to put in a new section, or the kids want to bring in something from their course, instead of just adding it to that first page so it gets incredibly long, you can just add a new page. You can edit these just like you could before with the little sprocket. You can rename it, delete it, or move it. If you decide, I really want this information to be on the top, you can move it there. So it really makes it easy for you to edit that information, and then done. And then you can go back to the dashboard. This brings you right back to the very beginning of this ePortfolio. To go all the way back, that was the one thing I kept having trouble with, is how to get back to the very beginning where I had the two different accounts. I had to go kind of right back to the beginning through here. But you could create a whole bunch of these if you wanted to, and use them in lots of different ways. And again, right at the very beginning, this is my private ePortfolio, but there's the link. I can send that link to whoever I want, and then they can get in and look at my portfolio safely without putting my stuff public. So that was something I found out after I watched a few videos, and I really like that because I was very concerned about making that information public for everyone to see. But I really think in my room, I don't necessarily want a copy of their ePortfolios because I want the kids to be able to access it. So I feel like I'm just going to say, okay, let's everybody bring up your ePortfolio, and let's look at what kind of learner you are again. So maybe you should be listening to this video today, or maybe you should be reading the text, or maybe you should be up here with me where we're actually hands-on figuring out how to do a lab to help us with more information on that topic. So you can, like I said, you can put, and I think the kids could put new sections on here if they wanted to. We talked about in our group, like letting the kids during 8th hour contribute to whichever section they'd like, however they want. So I think maybe we do want to have a very specific first page where all the kids have basic information on it, but then they can kind of choose what other information they feel is important to put in there. So that's kind of the nitty gritty, is just how to set this all up. It really wasn't difficult to play around with. The big thing you got to remember is this is your section. So this is like your big folder, and then these are the little pages within. So organizing and manage is how you get new pages, and editing this page will actually edit whatever page you're on. So as soon as you start a new section, you automatically get a new page. So if I add another section and I just say section and say miscellaneous, done editing. So as soon as I click on, oops, done editing, there we go. As soon as I click on that, I automatically get a new page. So if you were to add another page to this and you're like, Cindy Lou, because I mean, I should have a section of my dog because she's adorbs. So I've done editing and, oh wait, I really don't want this new page anymore. I can go back to that and just delete it. So you can either use that page or you can add another page. So let me show you how to do the embed code, because I was super, super excited about that. We do a lot of, like I always share a link through my Google Drive, don't tell anybody, through my Google Drive that of like a section of notes for my kids to look at. But some of them would have trouble getting in, and it just became very frustrating. And now I can actually embed that code. So if you go to Office 365, and you go to Word or whatever, PowerPoint or whatever you want, and I'm just gonna, oh, I can't do that one. I tried that earlier. I don't know if I can do this one because it's not mine, but I'm gonna try.
Stacy, could you go just directly through OneDrive instead of through the individual app?
Yeah, you mean instead of Word?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
Stace, it works really well with YouTube videos too, to embed
Yes,
them, and then they're
it
right
does.
there.
And YouTube's a lot easier because you get that embed code very easily. I was trying to find something I could do it with. Share. Okay, so when you go to share, it can be anything. Do you see that right there? Embed code. It'll be on anything that you have in Office 365, whatever, and there's your embed code. So you have to copy that whole thing, and then you can take that, I think I'm on it, hopefully, and bring it over to your page. Edit this page. Oops, I got ahead of it. My bad. Okay, there I am. Edit this page, and then I want to do an embed code, and then I do that, just a copy paste, save this page, and voila, goes right in there. So
which one is the embed code?
which one is the embed code? When I was here, it's right down here at the bottom.
No, I mean, when you're editing the page, you said click on embed
Oh,
code.
got you, okay. Where is it in embed? Okay, this is the HTML embedded content.
Oh, it's over on the side. I thought it was
Yes.
a little picture. Okay.
Nope, it's over on the side. So this is all your options over here on what you want to add. And every time you click on one of these, it opens a box below. So this is, it automatically opens when you edit rich text content. But if you don't want this box, you just delete it. But it will always open just that box. Then if you want to add in an image, you can go find an image. You can choose anything you want, upload it. I'm going to put the roster for today. Select and upload the file. And it's selected. Now it will go, when you upload a file, it's going to go in as a link, just like that. But when you preview it, I forgot to save the page, but when you preview it, that's what it'll look like. But this is an actual another section.
So, Stacy, what's the difference between clicking on the right to embed the code versus in your rich content editor, you've got the ability to embed as well. So what's the difference between the two?
Oh, you can embed.
There's lots of ways to embed things in the
Right,
rich
I
content
agree.
editor.
Yeah, I don't, honestly, I don't know. I think when you go to embed, oh, it won't.
Stacy,
Yes.
it's Angie. From what I've read or the videos I've watched, the only reason you'd want to do it separately, I think, is if you want to delete it easily later. So instead of having all of those different sections and you've got it all lumped into one, if you embed it within this, then it's a whole group of things. Whereas if you embed it separately, you can delete it later.
Got you.
That makes sense.
Yes. Instead of doing it, okay, because I don't know that answer at all. But you see, like, as I kept clicking, it was just bringing in a million of these. So you have to remember to go down too, because like you don't think things are working correctly, and then you realize later that you've managed to bring a whole bunch of these in.
Hey, Stacy, this is Lucas. I have 2 questions. I think I know the answer to the first one, but you cannot edit an embedded code. So I couldn't go into Canvas and edit this. Is that correct? I have to go back to Office 365, but it does pull over the live version.
Right.
Okay. And then the second, have you done this with students at your level, or are you planning on, do you have a route that you're planning?
We have not ever used ePortfolios before. I just was playing around when we were talking about doing this learning profile and saw the ePortfolio, and I thought this would be something that I would use for parent-teacher conferences to actually share. I think sharing their grades and everything, their progress in class, is way better with Canvas than it is with Infinite Campus, because you can get a quick look at the kids' information right in front of you. But I like that I could even add like I used to call it a 3 stars and a wish, where it's like 3 goals that the students have for themselves, and then 1 wish. No, wait. 3 stars are 3 things they were doing well in the class, and then 1 goal for themselves. And I had them always do it before parent-teacher conferences, and then we shared that during our time. But I feel like now I can go back to using that again, because it would be up here in their learning profile. I could put that sheet in here, and they could use that to help them set goals for like assessment. So if they're getting assessed on whatever curriculum standard, they can say, okay, my goal is to work more on whatever, an overlying thing, like maybe they're having trouble making inferences or something. Then they can kind of set that goal up here with the ePortfolio and have that in front of them. So it is something I'm going to use this year. I have not up to this point, except this summer, and I've just been playing with it.
And with your plans, you're planning to do the embedded version, or you're just planning to let them type in the rich text?
I will probably, for the most part, have them just type information in, but I do think that embed code is something that is an option, and it depends on what information they're putting in there. Like if they're bringing in their assignment from Canvas, and I had trouble doing that right now because there really isn't assignments in there for me to play with right now. I don't know what that's going to look like necessarily. I don't know if it comes in as one big like page like this, or if it'll come in like a link here. So I would want that to be more visible. So we'd have to kind of play around with that. So like I said, I can't tell you much about that. But I don't know. I can't answer that for sure. I think the embed code, again, the more things that you give the kids, you got to know what they're capable of. And I think sometimes we give them so many tools that they get overwhelmed. So I always try to start small with, okay, let's just open a page. Like I figured I would give them, get them started with just this, like pull in this picture and start filling out some of the information below, and not even dealing with pulling in extra pages at this point. And then maybe as the year goes on, after they've maybe started putting information in on that page, then we can talk about adding more sections and things like that. That's kind of where I'm at.
So, Stacy, I know you were talking about we can't really create templates for the kids, but what if we had a file that we uploaded into our Canvas files?
Yes.
And then could they link from that file and plop it into their portfolio? And that would be
Yes.
kind of a workaround.
Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna try to do, because we are talking about doing our what do you call those, inventories. We're gonna put our inventories out there in links, and just link that into probably our 8th hours, if we have 8th hours, so that the kids have access to those inventories. And then I'm hoping we could do the same with this. So like we could just make a file with these pictures, and then they would just take them and put them in. So they'll still have to like type in the tops of their sections, like the names of them, but then I'm hoping that we can just push out these pictures to them through that 8th hour. But yeah, I think that's how I'm gonna get information to my kids. And then anything else that they would need to throw in there, like I may even give them some kind of a template to fill out, like, you know, like one that already says general information, like this kind of stuff, where they can just kind of fill it in instead of having to type it all out like it is here.